So this half hour, a tribute this Memorial Day to the last known surviving American-born veteran of World War I and the photographer fighting to honor the memory of vets of that war. Coming up this morning, remembering the past, honoring America's last known veteran of World War I. This is The Early Show on CBS. On this Memorial Day, we honor all servicemen and women who've given their lives for this country, including those who fought in World War I. They once stood almost 5 million strong. Now there is only one American-born veteran left. It was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Frank Buckles enlisted when he was only 15. Now at age 107, he is the last doughboy, the only known living American-born who fought in World War I.
The feeling I had when I first came back was the public was not interested in it because nobody ever asked me a question.
It was the first war that brought us into global conflict, and more people died in World War I than in Korean War, Vietnam War, Iraq, and Afghanistan. So there was a massive amount of death, but for some reason it's just not talked about. I call it the forgotten generation. Photographer David DeJonge wants the world to remember them. He has spent the past year and a half in a race against time to immortalize America's last 12 World War I veterans. He made it to 9. Some passed shortly after his visit. Yeah, sadly, that kind of became the path of this. I would photograph one, and within weeks I would get calls from the families saying, Charlotte passed on, Lloyd passed on, and those were hard phone calls to receive. A few months ago, the photographs became a permanent exhibit at the Pentagon. DeJonge is working to create a traveling exhibit.
Projects like these are important because in many ways and for many reasons, the First World War is not well understood or remembered in the United States.
But for DeJonge, the mission is not over. In a city of memorials, these veterans have no memorial to call their own.
We've got the D.C. War Memorial, which was to the residents of the Washington, D.C. vicinity, and it's crumbling, it's falling apart, the sidewalks are impassable, things are oozing out of the pillars, nobody's taking care of it.
He is raising money to restore it and make it a national monument.
The landscape would be taken care of, the sidewalks would be accessible to all the visitors, and the doughboy statues would be flanking it to the left and the right in symbol of unity and patriotism.
And on the 90th anniversary of the war, Buckles says it's not too late.
It doesn't need to be elaborate.
The White House is aware of David DeJonge's mission. So is the Pentagon.
It's a difficult and long process, but it's one that is probably well worth it.
But so far, no political support. DeJonge says he is not discouraged and will keep fighting to honor all veterans, especially his friend, Frank Buckles.
On this Memorial Day, I'd like Americans to reflect and consider we just don't have much time to complete this for him and for his generation, for him to see this and experience it and know one of the last things that he's done on this earth is bring a memorial to his generation. It's a litmus test, I think, for American patriotism.
Salute you, Mr. Buckles. David DeJonge is expanding his project now to include all surviving World War I veterans worldwide. Next month, he plans to head to England, and he also hopes to make it to Austria and Australia to complete the project. Up next, Health Watch, the best ways to treat sunburn. You're watching The Early Show on CBS.